It's a great honor for me and my association of imams, mosques, and schools to be your guest here at the University of South Florida. President Betty Castro, and to our brother Wali Shabazz, and Dr. Laura Kaplan. We appreciate your support and your interest in having us come here during this opportune time to present our picture to you. Our picture, as you know, as Muslims, is one that is distorted. We say by the major media, but I recall movies, Hollywood movies, and even libraries and authors of books contributing to the bad picture of Muslims in the world. And I think it comes from the Crusade times. There was a time before the Crusades when Muslims were in Spain for 500 years, and there were good relations for Muslims with Christians and Jews. In fact, Christians and Jews worked together in Muslim Spain and achieved a lot. And Jews, learned Jews, have told me that they think of that time as a great time for Jews, intellectual Jews. In fact, they said that not only did the Muslims put the spark in the air for a renaissance in Europe and in the West, but also for a return to intellectual studies and devotion to matters of science, etc., philosophy and science among Jews. And we should, those of us who are trying to represent Muslims in the world today, we should be aware of the history of our relations with the people of the book, the Christians and the Jews, and should try to understand what occurred, what has happened to bring about this bad situation that we have now for Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. I believe that this is the best time on earth for human beings. I don't think there ever was a time that favored us really having the good life and the peace that we want on this earth, more so than the time that we have right now. In fact, I say, as a Muslim, knows the Prophet Mohammed and loves the Prophet Mohammed, our prophet, the last prophet, and universal prophet. I would have loved to have been back there at that time with our prophet, to have seen him face to face, to have worked with him, supported him, and died for the cause. I would have loved that. But if I was invited now, if that was possible by some magic to take me back to that time, I would ask the prophet to forgive me. I would tell him this is the best day in the history of man. This is a day that we can best represent you and our religion and do more good than ever has been done. I would tell him, forgive me. May I see you in paradise, I hope, inshallah. And let me stay here at this good time in America to continue good work and see the marvelous things that are going to happen in the future for us to have peace and a good life on this earth. Islam's contribution to America should be no different from Islam's contribution to the world. The main contribution that Islam makes to world community, the world society, or the world community, is the emphasis on learning, higher learning, education. And during the early days of Islam, we know Islam produced thinkers, philosophers, scientific thinkers. Even we speak of the collection of hadith by Bukhari as an objective work, as a kind of scientific work. Islam produced these great minds And in a relatively short period of time, there were centers of learning for the whole world, and people came from around the world to those centers. In Damascus, Syria, Baghdad, Iraq, in Africa, Timbuktu, and Morocco, and other places. The oldest university that we know of is perhaps the one in Fez, but the one that is the most popular, the biggest university, is the University of Azhar of Egypt, Cairo, Egypt, the Azhar University, with a long centuries of history. That Islam wants us to see education as the herald of progress, civilization. It opens the way for civilization and all kinds of progress. You know, we can stop slavery by political protests and moral protests, and it has happened. It happened for us. Moral protests, spiritual protests, religious, political protests by the abolitionists, Frederick Douglass, and others who championed the cause of freedom for the black people, for the black man of America, the African American people. And they won Emancipation Proclamation. It came, but the job of finishing that process and really bringing satisfaction to our souls will have to be done by education. It's being done by education. More will be accomplished by education to free people from all kinds of slavery than can be accomplished by war or political pressure or even moral pressure. Moral pressure is important to wake the conscience, as Frederick Douglass did. He worked hard to awake the conscience of the American people. And he said some really things that I think are very profound. It was kind of ingenious of him to say what he said. It had great psychological effect then and even now. When I read what he said, it has an effect on me. He pointed to the Christian West, the democratic West, and he reminded them, the West, the leaders of our society then, and the public of our society at that time, that they were Christians, and that they claimed to believe in Jesus Christ, peace be upon the prophet Jesus Christ. And he reminded them that they claimed democracy and would love to be seen as the leaders of democracy. But he said, and I'm quoting him, "Your behavior is such that would shame a nation of savages." So these powerful words had the effect of bringing the people to look at themselves and to question their behavior in light of the high principles and high ideas, the wonderful ideas that they identified with. But the process had to continue. And even now, we are thinking of ourselves as being an underclass people, many of us. We think of ourselves as still being denied, not being accepted. And education is the instrument that's going to completely free us. Education. When leaders become more educated and appreciate true education, quality education more, and apply the instrument or the tools and the knowledge, principles of quality education for the further the liberation of African Americans, we're going to see some more success. When our people were freed, what did they want? What were they motivated to seek? It was knowledge. The history tells us that when freedom came and the worker in the field heard that they were free, say some of them right away they wanted to get a book or a piece of paper to try to read. And they could be seen there after the Emancipation Proclamation during rest time, resting on their plows, reading books, reading a piece of paper. That was their thirst. That was their great desire. So the precious part of the human being is not so much as flesh, 150 or 70 or 60 pounds of flesh. The precious part of the human being is the human intellect. And it was our prophet who said to us, dear Muslim believers, our prophet said God never created anything better than the human intellect. And we know it's the human intellect that enables us to see ourselves as free people and people of free will, and enables us to rise above the animal nature and the animal level of performance, to really think of ourselves as creatures put on this earth to beautify the earth and to take care of even animals, and to serve the world, the whole world, for the betterment of the world, for the betterment of all life, not just human life, animal life. It was our prophet, too, who told us about the respect we need for animals. Once there was a Muslim gentleman, walking down the road with other Muslims, and he saw a dog coming down the road, and he would not move, the dog would not move, and he would not move, so he was going to run the dog off the road, and he was reminded that the dog had rights too. And what we would like to see Muslims do in these times, we would like to see Muslims awaken to the great principles that the Prophet, the religion gives us, and to the great respect that this religion asks for. And we would like to see us join movements for the protection of animals, to protect animals from cruelty. This would help change the image of Muslims if we would just learn where our sensitivities should be, and join efforts in the world that would give us an opportunity to serve in the path of God as the Quran, our holy book, and our prophet would have us serve. If we would do that, the image of Muslims would be corrected, and the world would see us right away as people in humanity who love humanity and want to see a better future for all humanity. When I'm speaking around the country and overseas even, that's what's motivating me, a desire to bring the right sensitivities back to Muslim people, especially our leaders, so that we will be able to really serve as God intended for us to serve God and humanity on this earth. For after all, we cannot give God anything. God says even the martyr who gives his blood does not reach God. God cannot do anything with that blood. He said what reaches him, God says, what reaches him is your respect, your taqwa. That's what reaches him. And that respect begins with the respect for your Lord Creator, appreciation for God, who gives everything and makes everything possible. And then that respect goes to our parents and to our near relatives, our close relations, and it goes out to our neighbor. Prophet Mohammed said, peace and blessing be on him, he said, God pressed him so regarding how he should respect the neighbor and how he should care about the neighbor, until he thought at one time that the neighbor was going to inherit him. So this is the importance on respect for our neighbor. And the neighbor may be of your faith or not of your faith. We have to care about our neighbors. And it was that kind of respect and that kind of sensitivity that won even nations, countries, to come over to Islam. Indonesia is the most popular country in the Muslim world. Most populous of all Muslim countries. Not a white country. It's not a black country. It's a brown country, Indonesia. And they were brought to Islam. Their history tells us, and they will be proud to tell us, they were brought to Islam because of the great character they witnessed in the Muslims, who were business people, who came to Indonesia to do business, to do trade. They were impressed so they wanted to find out what accounted for this marvelous, this excellent behavior in these people. So they inquired, and they learned that their religion accounted for that behavior in them. So the whole nation eventually converted to Islam, and now it's the most populous of nations in the Muslim world. Education is the liberator.
Prophet Muhammad is the first to be seen as an educator, not as a warrior, not as a general leading the Muslims in conquest, to dominance, but as an educator. Our holy book, God says it to us in our holy book, that Muhammad, the prophet, is the one that is mentioned in the Torah and in the Injil, or in what we call now the Old Testament and the New Testament, in the Bible. He is the one mentioned, and I found the language, the similar language that is used in our holy book, I found it in the Bible. It says that he is the one that comes to break all the bonds of slavery, to lift from the people the heavy yokes, to break all the bonds of slavery. How is he going to do that? He's going to do that by bringing their respect to knowledge and to the God who created knowledge. We don't think of God as the creator of knowledge, but God is the creator of knowledge. All knowledge comes from creation. There's no knowledge coming except from creation or revelation. And God is the one that created everything, and the knowledge is in everything that's created. No learned person have gotten any knowledge except from what God has created. The knowledge for the human body, I'm not telling you anything on these campuses, but you need to think about it. Islam is a religion that just wants us to reflect, to think about it. And the knowledge of the human being all comes out of the human being. The knowledge of my skin makes the doctor becomes a skin specialist. He has to get that knowledge out of my skin, out of human skin. The one who becomes a brain specialist gets it out of the human brain. The one who becomes a heart specialist, he gets it by studying the human heart. The psychology, he gets it by studying the human psychology. In the outer environment, the one who studies the stones, the minerals, and etc., he has to study that and get that knowledge out of there. If his knowledge doesn't agree with what's there, he has no knowledge. He has to get the knowledge that God has put into all these things he created. His knowledge cannot disagree with what God has written in these created things. So if we will say we believe in God, if we reflect on this, we will appreciate God more. And this is the kind of thinking that Islam brought to us. This is the kind of thinking that Muhammad the Prophet brought to his followers, that caused them to be inspired and motivated. And they didn't want to be silly people arguing with each other and trying to out-joke each other and impress each other with their lines of poetry, etc. They wanted to join the movement of Muhammad the Prophet for liberating the intellect of the human being, for bringing a better world, to bring a better world to humanity. And they did that. They joined him and they became strong, staunch, fierce followers of his. But peace lovers, lovers of humanity and lovers of peace. Islam's contribution to America must be then our appreciation for education. Muslim leaders should be supporting education. We should be on record for valuing higher education, all knowledge, common sense, science, higher education. We should be building institutions of learning, and we should see institutions of higher learning popping up in America with all dollars, with dollars from the oil reserves, and with other monies that we have, that the businessman, with the monies of the rich. We should see higher institutions popping up like it did after the coming of the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet. Within a relatively few years, institutions popped up, and the Muslim institutions became the magnets, drawing the intellectuals to come and see what the Muslims' intellects were all about. And that caused the Renaissance, the revival of interest in the sciences throughout the world. That's what we need to see. And we need it as a principle. We need it as a principle and as a philosophy for liberating African black people too. What the Jews, they did a lot of things to help us. We think of the Jews only as going with the marchers and losing their lives down south. But the Jews did something else wonderful. Jewish authors, they questioned racism in this country. And one Jewish author I recall, he encouraged the scientific study of race and racism. And that's where the answer is. It's in the scientific study of race and racism. All of these differences can be explained. We still have too much ignorance, even on this campus, even on this prestigious campus. I guarantee you, I can question some of your students, and they will have ignorant ideas of their dignity as a person. their black skin, they will think is their dignity. The texture of their hair, maybe they'll be so proud, they'll show it off like a rooster shows off his crown. But that's not the real thing we should be showing off. What we should be showing off is abstract, it's not in concrete. It's the precious mind, the rational mind, the intellect of the human being, the human heart, the human soul that wants to obey God, but is in the dark until the mind is turned on to the light. This is what we should be interested in, and this is our identity. Our identity is first a human identity. And if we don't have that identity strong in us first, whatever identity we take on after that will have a weak base to support it, so it crumbles when pressure is brought against it. And this is a situation for too many blacks in America, or African Americans, or Africans. I hope one day we'll feel comfortable saying we are Africans, and because that's what we are. The French who stays here, and the Irish who stays here, or the Italian who stays here, for generations, do they stop calling themselves Irish and Italian and French? No. Why do we have to say Afro-American? How come we can't have the whole word? Because it is not the world anymore that's making us feel inferior. It's the thinking, the condition of our minds that make us feel inferior. And we don't have the freedom of soul and intellect yet to embrace the full word African. Islam's contribution is also unity, our concept of unity. Our concept of unity, we should share it with the people. We should let them know that we believe in one God, and we believe that that one God is the creator of the universe, and that he has designed the universe, given it its design, and also its destiny. And the great learned teachers in Islam, the philosophical thinkers, want us to understand that the whole material creation is a matter that is progressing, or as the scientists in the West would say, undergoing evolution. And the highest evolved of all of that matter is the human intellect. So the destiny of matter itself is the establishment of the human intellect in its great role that God assigned, determined for it, so that we will have a better world for ourselves and a better world for all living creatures. From the belief that God is one, we move from that premise when we understand it, and understand, brothers, imams and scholars in Islam, teachers, students in Islam, that even that belief, it has a rational base. It has a rational base. We speak of the prophet Ibrahim in the Quranic language, Arabic language, as our second father, just as the Jews and Christians do. And we also say that our religious order is an order after the order of that prophet, peace be upon him, Abraham or Ibrahim. And we say of him that he is the man of rational faith. Rational faith. Not just faith, not just belief, but a belief or faith that has rational basis. So when we witness that God is one, we do it upon a conclusion arrived at after we study, as Abraham did, the creation itself, and determine that there is a designer for it, or conclude that there is a designer for this universe, that there is a creator of this universe, and that one is God. That's how he arrived at the concept of God, or the belief in the one God. So when we say we witness that God is one, we mean that we also used our rational senses. We didn't just blindly come to that position that God is one. We also used our rational senses to bring us to that belief that God is one. We say, ashahadu, I witness. Witness means that I have observed this. I have used my rational mind to think about this. And I conclude, yes, I agree with Mohammed. I agree with the Quran. God is one. And from that position, God is one, and creation is one, created by God. So it has a oneness. All matter is tied together by universal laws. It's one scheme of logic. The logic does not oppose itself or become a strange logic and two different logics working together to destroy the universe. No, the logic is consistent for matter. One design, one universal law, one continuous universal nature, underlying and holding everything together. So then we say that man is also one. Life is one. Life is one, and this is what science tells us. So we are not at odds with science. The religion is not at odds with science. That life is one, and humanity is one. Humanity is one. We think of our first parents as Adam and Eve, but as students of this religion, we have to understand that Adam represents the human person in the single picture that's the same for all nationalities, for all races. Adam represents that single picture for human beings. And that's the picture of our human intellect, our distinct human identity, humanity, human intellect, human person. It's the human person identity that we claim that we are all members in when we say Adam is our father. And when we say Abraham is our father, we are talking about an orientation of the mind, spirit, the heart, and the whole person. Because we are told in Islam that Abraham brought his whole self to God. His heart, his faith, his spirit, so everything. And he trusted his intellect. He brought his whole being to God. And for this accomplishment of Abraham, it is expressed like this, says, and he fulfilled his obligation to his God, fulfilled it. And that was to deliver himself completely to his God. Now, if you find an intellectual on the campus like Abraham that have given even his intellect in obedience to his Creator, you have a wonderful person on this campus. You have a special person on this campus. You have a person on this campus that God is very close to, loves and very close to, and God is working with him right by his side all the time. So this is the highest achievement for the human being, to submit not just his faith or his spirit to God, but to submit the most precious part of the human being to God, the intellect, the rational mind itself. But how can we do that if we don't have the rational appreciation for God, the rational basis for appreciating God? I would pity the world if one of these great minds could get into power and guide and become our leader on this earth. if he had some of these silly notions of the being and existence of God that I know is in some of these denominations and some of these small-minded religions, I would pity the future. I would pity the world for following him and accepting him, and I would regret the future that he would lead us to, giving his intellect to God. You give your intellect to God with the wrong perception, you're in trouble. So I don't blame many of you on these campuses for not giving your intellect to God. They have not shown you the right way to look at religion yet. You went to the wrong church or the wrong synagogue or the wrong mosque. Another contribution we can make is to show that we love peace, to show that we want peace, not just for ourselves, but for the whole world, for everybody on this earth. When we say we are Muslims, we are saying that we are peacemakers. Peacemakers. The root word is salama. The name of our religion is Islam, al-Islam, which means to give yourself to peacemaking, to give yourself to respect for peace, to love for peace, to peacemaking. They say to surrender to God, to God, but this word doesn't say surrender to God. This word says salama, it says peace. So yes, it is a surrender to God, but how is that surrender done? That surrender is done by us wanting peace between ourselves and God, and peace between ourselves and our fellow man, no matter what color skin is or where he's from. That's how that peace comes. So we should be seen as the peacemakers, and every Muslim should be a policeman over himself or over herself. Prophet Muhammad didn't have jails. He didn't ask the society to build jails. Prophet Muhammad had no police department. He required of each Muslim citizen that he or she be the policeman or the policewoman over themselves. And this is the Bible. This is the Torah. This is the Bible. That we should believe in God and trust that once the citizen comes into the right relationship with his God, then the nation, the order, the government order, can trust him. He will keep the peace. He will keep the civil order of the society. He will do that himself. How can we have citizens like that if we don't give them the best of the knowledge and the best of the education and the best of the sensitivities that our God has given to us as Muslims? We will never have that unless we do those things. Race. God wants us to see race rationally. When we go against the races, we may become extremists right along with him. To jump on a person for wanting to dignify their race, or for wanting to see their race have the life that they themselves admire, even though we might not agree with that life, is not the way to have peace between races that are opposing each other or hate each other or dislike each other. The way to do it is to try to rationally understand what's motivating this person, what's behind this person's actions. And what's behind our actions, I don't care if it's a KKK, a Klansman, or anybody else, it is the inherent respect and honor that God gave us. Prophet Muhammad said, when God created everything, he created dignity and respect for that thing. In that thing, it's written, it's inscribed on in everything, or upon everything, dignity, respect, honor. So all of us, maybe struggling in the dark and stumbling over ourselves and others and running into people, but we are searching for that respect, that honor that God created us for. And if this world can come to respect that God created each of us for honor, for nobility, for dignity, for respect, and that we may not all pursue the same life or the same interests in life, we will become culturally different. We will become religiously different, spiritually different. We won't all have the group personality that the other one will have. The African-American group personality will be different from the Irish-American group personality. We'll be different even in our group sensitivities. We'll be different. And when you're different, naturally there's something about the other you don't like, or something about the other that you rather keep away from you. Well, what's wrong with that? Believe me, there are many groups, and now they're black too. I found a lot of black people. I don't want to live next door to them. Yes, they are members of the white race. I don't want to live next door to them. And I will raise hell if they come in my neighborhood and with some scheme to change my neighborhood, so that my neighborhood will be mixed with them and us and the people that I care about being next door to. Yes, I'll raise hell too, because I wouldn't like that. We should have the right to be away from people we don't like, and we should accept that everybody's not going to like you. You should accept that. That's human nature. And if we accept that, then everybody will respect each other. That's what we should have, respect, not love. We don't have to be sentimentally in love with each other as races. I don't have to be sentimentally in love with the Irish people, but I should have respect for the Irish people. I should have appreciation for the achievements of the Irish people that benefit the whole humanity. I should have appreciation for the Germans' contribution that benefits all humanity. So I should appreciate the Germans' intellect and the Germans' contribution. Maybe some Germans, I wouldn't want them next door. Hey, you look like Hitler. I don't want you next door to me. But at least appreciate the intellect of that people and not condemn the whole people because of how some present themselves. So we need just this simple common sense, respect for each other. But we go to the extremes. The Democrats, wonderful party, but they go to extreme, emotional, too emotional. Go to extremes. Never know when to stop. Never know when enough is enough. And some Christians who want to promote love your neighbor, love everybody. But let's have some rational content to that love. So these people who go to these extremes with their sentiments, and extremes with their opinions, and etc., they're the ones who have this world in bad shape. If we would come back to respect for our intellect that God created, and try to insist that whoever is talking to us, that you respect common sense and respect the rational mind. If we would ask for that, or we'd have a much better world to live in. I go among the Arabs, I have no problem. I go into their neighborhoods where their shops are, I have no problem. Some of my people go in there, they have problems. Say, oh, those Arabs, they're racist. Those Palestinians, they're racist. I never met a Palestinian and got any hint that he was a racist. No hint of racism in Palestinians. So how they come to that conclusion? Because he went there and the Palestinians saw him. He didn't see Islam. He saw him. He saw that black person. And he was turned off. So he didn't care to have him in his store. So he's going to blame that on racism. Islam wants us to also have appreciation for government. Appreciation for government. We are not people who want to be attacking government. God wants all of us evolved to appreciate civilized government. And all of us should respect any effort to have civilized government. And we shouldn't just get emotional and attack our government. Never attack the government. Attack the bad that's in the government. Never attack anything except for what's wrong in it. Attack only the wrongness in it, not the whole thing. Let us think about what we're attacking before we attack it. Let us think about what we're doing to lead people in a hatred for or disrespect for our government. Too many African Americans have disrespect for the United States government. Too many African Americans see the United States government as an oppressor. But it is in this government that we have achieved the amount of dignity and respect that we have now, that we have overcome some of the worst problems that humanity have ever had on them, and that's the problem of racism. We have overcome racism. Some of us say, no, racism is still the issue. It is not the issue. Racism is no longer the issue. And most of our serious, rational thinkers have already come to that conclusion, and they are beginning to tell us that we've gone too far with this thing. We are reacting too much. Racism is not the problem. A few ignorant people, that's the problem. There are a few ignorant people still harboring hatred. That's the problem. Some of them white, some of them black. That's the problem. And we don't need to have some new laws or new constitution to deal with those little small people. Just be intelligent. The intelligent one of us can manage the rest of these people. We can manage them and have a little understanding of them. Don't call them crazy. They're not crazy. They're misguided. They're miseducated. They have wrong religion maybe. Maybe they have a religion that's causing a problem for them. Their perception of Christianity may be causing a problem. Their perception of Islam may be causing a problem. Let's address their minds and respect what God has made. God has created them with a human intellect. So let's respect that all of them have a human intellect, and let us try to reason with them and not be so harsh on them, not be so hard on them. Why do I speak like this? I used to be in their position. I used to be black, and I thought all whites were wicked by nature. That's what I was told. When you're told something as a baby, and you trust your parents, you love your parents, and you believe that they love you, they're sincere, they're innocent in their darkness. So I believed them. And I grew up with that belief, that all white people, that we were being treated the way we were treated because they couldn't help themselves, that they were wicked by nature, sinful and wicked and hateful and devilish by nature. That's what I was told. I was told that they were an artificial creation, that they weren't created like the rest of the people, that they were an artificial creation, that some scientist by the name of Yakub had created them on the island of Patmos in the Aegean Sea 6,000 years ago. That's what I was told. Now you laugh, but whites were told, the white extremists, racists, they have been told something just as ridiculous, and that's why the teacher gave us the same kind of mind that they had to help whites like that look at us and see their own ridiculousness. Yes, it was a marvelous work that was done to show the racist America their own picture. Say, now look at these blacks. They have taken your position. Do you like the way they look? Believe me, the work of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Nation of Islam, has had a healing effect on white America. Yes, indirectly, in a subtle way. It has worked to heal racism in white people. And now all we have to do is use the rational method, and we can complete the job, and all of us can come out of the mental institutions. The blacks too, because we took up their position. Yeah, and believe me, there are many African Americans who think that they are not racist, but they are. They have been influenced. They've been affected by the teaching of the Nation of Islam, and they have come into a spirit. They have come into a mindset that is racist. Is racist. Whether they call it black supremacy or not, that's what they are promoting. A lot of this centering themselves in Africa now really is racism. That's what it is. When you move to tell lies about your own history, to exaggerate your own achievements, something incorrect is in your thinking. And the motive is not good. A good motive will not produce liars. A good motive produces truth bearers, not liars. And we don't have to exaggerate our creation, have a myth of our creation. If we just study scientifically what is human being and respect the God that designed this human being, we can have more sense of honor, more sense of respect for ourselves. We can realize more nobility. We can have the peace that our souls want for us. God says that, he says, "Kat karamna kulli bani Adam." We have certainly made honorable by nature every child of Adam. Now, why don't we believe God? Those who say they're Muslims, they still want to say the white is inferior to the black. Why don't they just believe God? They claim to be Muslims, and the Quran is your book. Quran is the sacred book for you. Why don't you just believe what God said? God says that God, the Creator, gave nobility and honor in the creation when he created every son of Adam. I hope the time will come when we have the minaret of freedom, an effort by learned people in the academic world, an effort to bring back these emphasis in knowledge and to bring back these sensitivities for what is best in the human creation and in the human destiny. We have the Minaret of Freedom, and others. These are mostly immigrant Muslims. There are some African Americans with them now, but the effort was started by immigrant Muslims from abroad. And they are seeing that there is a compatibility for the reasoning, the logic in Islamic justice and Western democracy, Islamic social justice and Islamic and Western democracy. So these people are becoming the leaders now. They are not seen yet because they're just beginning, but in time their great work is going to reach the many of Muslims in America and throughout the world, and we are going to come closer to our American citizens, embrace them. We're going to see that we are not far apart as we think we are, that we are really very close together in our thinking. Not only that, when we understand Christianity and the mission for Christian people, the global mission for Christian people that their Bible wants for them or their gospel wants for them, and when we come and understand the Jewish people and the global mission that God wants for them, we are going to be able to come closer together and understand each other. God says he has not made us different so that we should despise each other or stand over each other. But God has made us different so that we'll be curious and want to get acquainted with each other. And the more we get acquainted with each other and get true knowledge of each other, the more we're going to respect each other, and the more we're going to see the common basis or the common grounds for cooperation. Now, I don't want to take up too much time. Many other things I want to bring to your attention, but I'm going to conclude it with one thing that I think has made more trouble perhaps than any other thing, and that is a saying in the Quran. God says that the religion of Islam shall become the most popular, more popular, or the most prevalent religion, the religion that's more readily seen and noticed. Said it shall become popular or prevalent over all other religions, though the idolatrous or the pagans detest that, hate that. And this has been misunderstood and misinterpreted, and some very deeply scarred scholars in Islam and preachers in Islam, they have come to the idea because of the hurt in them. They want to believe that Islam wants us to be against Christians and against the West, and that we should never be satisfied until Islam has conquered the world, dominance. God says, for them, I say to you, God says in our holy book, he will never give the rule, that is the power over others, over nations, to anyone who seek corruption or seek a dominance, who seek corruption or seek a dominance. And the prophet was told, from these are the words of God to the prophet and to all of us in our holy book, and fight them. Fight who? Who was the prophet fighting? He was fighting a society that had no interest in civilization. He was fighting a society of idolatrous people, pagan people, idol worshippers, people who had their own idea of how they should live and what the world should be. They had not received enlightenment. They had not received revelation or enlightenment. Those are the people he was fighting. Prophet Muhammad was not fighting the Christian world. That came later. The Crusades brought on that. He was fighting enslavers of the intellect, people who were in the way of the intellect, progress for the intellect and civilization. That's who he was fighting. And he was fighting them only after they became aggressors and attacked him and tried to stamp out the light of Islam and rid the peninsula of Arabia of Muslims. Then that's when he was given permission by God to fight them, to resist them and to fight them. And God says, and fight them until there is no more persecution. And religion is for God. Now listen to that. Listen to that, please, especially you Muslim thinkers. Fight them until there is no more persecution, and religion is for God. Understand that it is our scripture that also tells us that the worst of all oppressors is the one who imposed false religion upon you. These people in that time of ignorance, the idolatrous people of Arabia, they had religion. They boast that they had religion. But their religion was oppression. It oppressed the human soul. It oppressed the human mind, the human intellect. And fight them until there is no more persecution and religion is for God. I stand upon this against any argument, intellectual. I'm not a degreed person. I only have a good high school education, formal education. And I only went to Chicago Junior College to learn English a little better so I could speak a little better. I don't have college degrees. But I stand against anyone who wants to argue with me. And I say to you, right there, God is obligating us to stand for the freedom of religion. For the freedom of religion. We should be standing for the freedom of religion. If anyone's religion is threatened by someone who wants to deny them the right to have their religion, it is the Muslim leaders who should come to the side of that person and say, no, God has ordered freedom of religion. God says to you, say to people who differ with you, seriously differing with you, say to them, to you your religion, and for me my religion. And la ikraha fid din, let there be no compulsory in religion. Don't force people to accept religion. So why all those wars against aggressors? And then came the Crusades, and there was a different motive. The Muslim world, who had experienced great wealth and great conquest, it went to their head, and they were affected by it. Then they were fighting not for the glory of God. They were fighting for the glory of their wealth and for the security of their wealth, for the security of their dominance in the world. It was a political war. The Crusades were political wars that hurt religion. Few of them were noble, and God was with them. Salahuddin was a God-fearing man, a doctor, a medical doctor. He fought an honorable war, and God gave him victory. Thank you very much. I hope we will come to understand our own life and our own purpose on this earth and our Creator better, so we can be better human beings and tolerate each other's differences, cultural differences, religious differences, and etc. Peace be on you. Assalamu alaikum.
At this time, Imam Mohammed is willing to have a short question and answer period. We would ask that people who are interested in asking the Imam questions to step to the microphone, please. And please be mindful of the person behind you and only ask one question. For the press, we ask you that we'd like to inform you that there will be a short press conference after the question and answer period. Unfortunately, we were not able to entertain your questions prior to the presentation, but the Imam is gracious enough to do that at the end of the question and answer period. So people who will have questions, we'd appreciate if you would come and stand behind his brother. 1 second, please, sir. And ask the Imam questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
My question is in 3 parts, sir. Are there any serious attempts to reach Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam to bring them in the mainstream of Islam? If so, who are making this overture and what are the results? Are not Farrakhan and his followers mushrikun according to the Sharia because of their sacrilegious views about Wallace Fard and Elijah Muhammad and other wrong practices. And number third of that question is not the Nation of Islam a cult since it deviates from the doctrine of Islam?
Yes. Now, I said when I was speaking that I once held the same opinions, the same views that they hold. And I believe that the same mercy and grace that came to me to bring me from that position to where I am now, it can come to them. So I don't want to write them off. A lot of them are innocent. They're very sincere. They just don't have the real picture of the world. They don't have the true knowledge, the true history of things. So they live in a myth that was created for them, and they think that myth is reality. So I think there's hope for them. There's hope for them. And a lot of them are brilliant. Farrakhan is a brilliant man. They're very brilliant. And if they can give that energy to constructive work, I pray that God will open a way for them to come to the right understanding. And I see among them, among their leaders, hope. I don't want to name any of them because that would only put those persons on the spot. But I know among their leaders there are healthy thinkers, and in time, the same thing that occurred to bring us away from that will occur for them, inshallah, God willing. But you are correct. What they have amounts to shirk. The God idea they have is shirk. It is the false idea, and it is something that we have to reject and work against. And the religious order is more a cult than it is a religion. You are very much correct. I know because I used to be there.
Imam, from all accounts, Islam is the fastest growing religion in America. What do you feel is the reason for this? Is it because the intellect of the Americans is awakening to the true message of Islam, or you think there are some other reasons for the rapid growth of Islam in America?
Yes, I think there are many reasons. One is the increase in the number of Muslims in the citizenry of America now, coming from Asia, Middle East, Asia, and Africa, even Africa. So there's increase in the number of Muslims who are American citizens now because of migration, immigration. And there's also an increase, I think, that is owing to, in the African American community, I think what is owing to our desire to become Muslims more than anything else, it is this religion's universality. It is a religion that my common sense can grasp. I can grasp it with my common sense. That God is one and He's creator, and that's it. Simple religion that asks no more of us than that we believe that God is one and accept to live a life in obedience to that God, to pray to that God, to give in charity, to fast Ramadan, and to make pilgrimage to Mecca, all together as a global community, accepting all nationalities, all people in one family brotherhood. So this is what appeals to us. We have been isolated, we have been rejected, we have been socially stigmatized and pushed out. So Islam comes now and put its emphasis on the unity of man, on the one God, and gives us a simple formula to live by. And we don't have to strain our brain to say, what is Islam? It's very simple. When our prophet was asked, what is Islam? He gave what I just gave. He said, Islam is to believe in God, to pray, to give in charity, to fast the month of Ramadan, and to visit the holy house, to make pilgrimage to the house built by Abraham and his son Ishmael, for the unity of mankind. So I think that accounts for a lot of the conversion in the African American community. But also we know that the Nation of Islam has had a great role in attracting African Americans to Islam. And what they have done is exaggerated the human worth or the human creation for the black man and put down the value of reduced, or actually made of no value hardly, the creation of the white race. And for blacks who suffer, rejection and don't understand right now why they can't make progress, that is a strong attraction, a very strong attraction. But I don't think the conversions that we see in by the Temple of Islam, or in the Temple of Islam following, is accounting for this growing numbers now. It is mostly the migration of Muslims to America and the rational appreciation for the religion of Islam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Sorry for being late, Brother Imam. I just want to ask a question. Perhaps you covered it earlier. Can you shed some light on the significance or the role in leadership of women in the world of Islam?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Respect for women and women's rights is an issue now that most of us don't want to address. And it's because we have allowed the cultures of the Muslim world to oppress women, and we don't know how to explain why we're in the situation we're in. It is our cultures that have oppressed women, not our religion. No woman felt denied, they felt that she was treated differently or denied her rights in the time of the Prophet or in the time of the early rulers of Islam, leaders of Islam in the history of Islam in Arabia. They didn't feel that. They were bold. They spoke out in the open. They spoke out in the public. They challenged even their rulers. There was a report that the ruler himself was saying something, and a woman within his hearing heard it, and she knew it was incorrect. So she spoke out against him, and he acknowledged his mistake and apologized to her and corrected himself. Yeah. So, and we know that even now, not just then, but even now, Muslim scholars, we don't treat the woman intellect any different than we do the man. We quote Aisha, radiallahu anha, God be pleased with her. We quote Aisha as an authority in Islamic knowledge and reporting for the early Ummah. We quote her with equal respect that we give Abu Hurairah more. We respect her even more because of her closeness to the Prophet. So we don't reject it. And today, that same respect for the equality of women is existing, but the cultural treatment, the treatment of women by these cultures, different cultures, is what's causing the problem. We find that Muslim citizens have no problem having a woman as their president. There might be right now at least 3 presidents in the Muslim world, women, female presidents. We have a long ways to go, but our religion is not in our way. Our cultures are in our way.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Imam.
Wa alaikum assalam.
With all due respect, brother, do you mind briefly sharing with us what is that position in which you're in right now that transpired after your departure from the Nation of Islam? Because you made mention a second ago about the position that you're in today.
Yes. Well, that's a big story to tell. That's a pretty big story to tell. And I think I've answered it already. The presentation that I've made answers your question. Before, I was believing that man was God and that the black man was God. And I was believing that the white man was the devil. That's what I was told. That's what I was believing. And I was believing because the white man is the devil, America should not be supported. That America is not the society for us. The U.S. government had no hope for us. There's no hope in the government for us. That we should have our own Nation of Islam, our separate government. And that this American society and this government and everything would be destroyed by God. That's what I was told. That's what I was believing. But as the very skillful planners wanted it, it happened. And they wanted that the Quran be amongst us, that strange teaching attract us, and that it attract only the uneducated who had no arrogance, rational or intellectual arrogance, that would make problems for this scheme. That the uneducated would embrace it, and they wouldn't know the difference between fiction and fact, and they would follow it blindly. But in time, their minds will be more educated, not by going to the white man's schools. We were told to have our own schools. That our own schools, emphasizing material reality, respect for the sciences, that in time our minds would be made strong, our intellects would be enriched, minds would be enriched, we would become men of knowledge, and we would have to discard a lot of these things that made no rational sense. And we would look at the Quran and say, here is the book. Here is where our Muslim life should be, and this is what we should follow. And that's exactly what happened. A man from overseas came in with a scheme, a plot, to get the Quran established in the ignorant neighborhoods of African American people, neighborhoods of the ignorant, the uneducated, and it worked. And now it's inspiring us to become educated, to become industrious, to become developers. We have a courageous vision. Muslims in our community, we're going to build new Africa in America. You're going to see streets with names like Timbuktu Street, Kenyatta Street. Yes, Morocco Street. You're going to see a sign up saying, reduce your speed. You're now entering New Africa. This is reality. I mean, it's not. Now, see, that's now. You know, Islamic heritage is very important. Some of us who are not Muslims, we want to pretend that there's no Islamic past for African Americans, for blacks in America. That there's no Islamic heritage for blacks in America. There is. There's more of an Islamic heritage than there is of a church heritage or a Christian heritage. That's the fact of history.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Do you have any program, special program, to unify all the major associations like ISNA and combine together? Do you have any program to fight for religious right for Muslims in this country with respect to Friday prayers and little concession during Ramadan, and also observing little Islamic laws during wedding and divorce, and as well as inheritance?
Yes, yes. When we study the history of Muhammad the Prophet, peace be upon him, for about half the time of his great works on this earth, he was just trying to reach others, the better minds of the people and the poor, with his message, and to bring about appreciation for knowledge and raise the minds of the people. That's what he was doing. He had not instituted prayer, the 5 daily prayers. He had not done a lot of the things that we now take for granted. We say, oh, this, if you don't have this, you're not Muslims. He hadn't done those things. But when he got a situation where an area, a big area of land was for his work, was open for his work, and the people in that area, Medina, were supporting his work. When he got a geographical situation for his work, his mission, then he established the community of Muslims. God raised them up into the heavens and showed him the vision. And he came to us on the earth, returning from the vision. And he established the 5 daily prayers, and the building of a real concrete community started. A government started. So after struggling myself to lead the community into 5 daily prayers, I realize that we don't have that situation yet. But we still insist that Muslims are missing, not fulfilling their duties or their obligation to God and this religion if they miss these prayers. So we accept that we're supposed to pray 5 times a day, daily. But I'm not pushing for that anymore. I used to push and kind of press. I'm not doing that anymore. We're going to have Muslim neighborhoods. We're going to have to learn to do what other national groups or ethnic groups have done, and that is live with yourself, live in a community to yourself, have a Muslim neighborhood. We need Muslim neighborhoods, and have business people, industrial-minded people, supply the needs of that neighborhood, grocery stores, hospital, businesses for employment. So you have a neighborhood, you employ your people. So the time for prayers can be regulated by that neighborhood. And the people can be off work. The people can right to break it, to stop work, and pray will be respected. And the adhan can be called, and everybody can respond to it. So we're going to have to use this, the method of gradualism that the Prophet used, and use his strategies and his wisdom for us to realize the life we want to in this new world in America. So I don't think we should press for this right now, press hard for people to make the Friday, even the Friday prayer, they're working. You know, God says the security of your life, to the survival of life itself, is respected by God. Muslims are allowed to even eat pork if they're starving and there's nothing else to eat to sustain life. But you're just not given the permission to enjoy it while you're eating it. You're supposed to dislike eating it. But you are permitted to do it. So we are not permitted to like missing prayers. But we should work for a situation where prayers will not be so hard for us. God says he wants us to purify ourselves. And it's difficult to purify ourselves when we have been conditioned to a life of ease and corruption. But he says he does not want hardship for us, he wants ease for us. Our God is a merciful, loving God who wants ease for us. So when we pressure ourselves in too much and make life too miserable for ourselves, then understand that God is a loving and merciful God. Let's work ourselves in a situation where we can have Muslim neighborhoods where these obligations will not be too difficult on us. That's my suggestion, and that's what I'm following, and I hope soon to realize that. But not just for Muslims, for all poor people. I think God has blessed Muslims to be a model of success for all poor people. The African American Muslims, God has blessed us to be a model of success for all poor, striving people, if we'll just go on and pursue our destiny like we should.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
I have a comment first, and then I have a question. It seems as though, with all due respect, sir, that you speak of respect, but then at the same hand that you kind of disrespect the Nation of Islam, or kind of Minister Farrakhan.
Yeah.
I happen personally to admire and love him because I watch his works and I see
I
what
do
he
too.
does.
I love him too.
Okay, my question to you is that you also speak about all the prophets that did fight against the bad in government and fought against all the evil in society. I'm wondering, do you see any bad in the United States government, and what are you doing to fight that?
Yes, there's the United States government is not yet as perfect as the Constitution that the founding fathers wanted to be. Is not yet as perfect as the founding fathers wanted to be. But I assure you that I travel a lot outside of the United States. And, you know, we have a lot to be proud of as citizens. And I don't think we should be pointing to the defects in our government without appreciating the great achievements of our government for democracy and human respect. There are great achievements for democracy and human respect, for tolerance, respect for all people, equal opportunity, etc. You talk of me preaching respect. On the other hand, I'm also saying things that shows disrespect. Well, if my child comes into the room and greets me, and there is slop down in the face and running all down on the shirt, I'm going to tell them, go in the bathroom and wash your face. And if they don't like doing it, I'm going to say that's nasty. So some things you have to recognize, and you have to be against those things. That's not showing respect. I treat Farrakhan just like I would my own brother, my own sister, my own son. I treat him the same way, no different. And I have been very easy with him today. You'd be surprised what I could come out with.
But my question was, what were you doing to crush the wicked that this government, I mean, there's plenty that, unless we have historical amnesia and are not reading current events, this government's into a lot of the U.S. foreign policy is horrible. And I'm wondering, what are you doing personally to do anything about that, just as all the prophets from Jesus on to...
Well, we should work together to keep our government responsible and to help our government get better and better. We should work on that. But that doesn't require that we attack the government or say that the government is evil or oppressive. It doesn't require that. You know, we should recognize progress for the good life that we want in this government. And we have realized a lot of progress as a government for the good life that all of us want. You know, your wife or anybody, you know, that you have a problem with, if you bring out the problems and you work on the problems, say, look, I don't like this in you. I don't like this in you. There come a time, if you're successful, that you realize a lot of progress for that relationship. Where after you realize a lot of progress for that relationship, you shouldn't keep the same spirit of anger or the same spirit of disapproval. You shouldn't keep that same spirit. You should realize that a lot of progress has been made for that relationship, and you should be less and less on the attack and more working for reconciliation and embracing and appreciating the good that has been accomplished. So I think that's what we have to do. We have to show now that we appreciate what has been accomplished. And that's what we should be talking about more than the few problems or the problems that's still left. For after all, I don't think any of you are ready to put a black man over your neighborhood, not to mention the United States of America, that's talking the way you talk. I know I wouldn't want to see one over there. If you're all negative, how are you going to help the American people? How are you going to help us? You can't help us. You have to respect the positive and not be all negative. Yes. All right.
Hello, I grew up in a Baptist church, and all I know is Christianity. I am here because I'm curious. I have been told that the only way to the kingdom is through Jesus. What kind of response would you have for me?
Well, my response to you would be, I'd rather see you a good Christian, happy with your life and serving God, than to take you from that and you become a Muslim and not be as happy and not be as interested in serving God. So naturally, a Muslim wants people to be Muslims.
I am happy.
Naturally.
I'm just curious.
Yes. Follow your curiosity. You're a healthy-minded person. Follow your curiosity. Thank you. I think we should stop at this point. Thank you very much.